Guys, welcome to the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. I'm your host, CEO of the Right Way Sports Network, Malik Wright, joined with Mr. Michael Daly, Jake Circus in the building. This is a wild night, first and foremost, but this is quite possibly, I think, probably the latest we've ever done a show. So bravo to that. But obviously, we're meeting for a great occasion. UFC 257 just commenced, and I want to get you guys' first reactions to the whole card. Obviously, I know everybody is shocked about the outcome of the main event, but Mr. Michael Dillon, I'm gonna let you speak first.
I think I could speak for everyone, especially you two guys, that I think everyone's heart is pumping after watching that because it was absolutely exhilarating.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the first round started, and it was back and forth. And honestly, with the way it started, Dustin sweeping the leg, a nice trip, getting it going, I don't think Conor expected that. But the fact that Conor was able to stand up, he landed shoulder strikes, and even in the first round, he was picking off Dustin. So I think a lot of people are like, here we go. This Dustin's just cannon fodder. This is going to happen. Conor will eventually fight Khabib. But let me tell you, Dustin had other plans in the second round, and he proved that his interim championship win against Max Holloway in 2019, a guy who Conor McGregor defeated in 2013, was a fluke.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think so you could also say this is the earliest we've ever done a show because it is now Sunday morning. I'm on Midwest time. You guys or Michael, I think you're on Eastern. Yeah, you're all on Eastern. So it's Sunday morning now. But I don't think I've been this amped up after a UFC event since I don't remember which one it was, but when Izzy fought Kevin Gastelum and going into the fifth round, he's like, I'm prepared to die. And then he just destroyed him in that round. I haven't been this amped up since probably that time. Two great fights, co-main, main event. Now, I thought the first round was Conor's round, but Dustin had towards the end caught some of that legs, and Conor kind of stumbled a bit. So you could really argue that there might have been no way Dustin was losing this fight after that first round because Dustin's very good with the leg kicks, and all it takes is one time getting Conor up against the cage. It's very hard to beat Dustin Poirier that way. I think Dustin did a great job taking some of those blows in the first round and really kind of playing this fight towards those later rounds.
Right.
Because kind of going into it, we kind of thought, okay, Conor has maybe 2.5 rounds to knock him out, and then it's all Dustin. It's Dustin's war zone from that. But Dustin was like, no, he can have the first round. I'm going balls to walls to start the second, and that's exactly what he did. So it was a textbook fight from Dustin Poirier.
So here are my thoughts. Look, everyone's going to talk about how they're shocked about, the fact that, Dustin Poirier beat Conor McGregor, but I'm going to come at it with a different angle. Khabib Nurmagomedov laid the blueprint out how to beat Conor McGregor. Let me say it again. Khabib Nurmagomedov laid the blueprint out on how to beat Conor McGregor. Now, a lot of people might be asking, Malik, what are you talking about, right? You guys know I say outlandish things. I say things that people don't always agree with, but hear me out. Dustin Poirier, his first instinct is not to wrestle. Okay, Dustin Poirier's first instinct is not to wrestle. But I'll tell you what it is. His first instinct is typically to stand trade with you and make it a bit of a dogfight. This time around, what did he do? He took the exact blueprint that Khabib Nurmagomedov beat Conor McGregor with and used it against him. It's the exact same thing. And people might be asking, what do you mean, Malik? If that was the case, Donald Cowboy Cerrone would have done it. Well, Donald Cowboy Cerrone was coming off of a 3-fight skid where he got knocked out in the first round, right? Now, you look at Dustin Poirier, a guy who's shared the same ring with Conor McGregor. He takes Conor McGregor to the ground immediately, and you could see Conor was even shocked. It changed like Conor's entire game plan. And I was on the record saying if Dustin Poirier was going to beat Conor McGregor, he was going to have to make this fight ugly. He was going to have to make it muddy. He was going to have to make it a dogfight, but not by standing and trading with Conor, because everyone's noticed Conor is his most dangerous in the opening round. Now, Dustin Poirier takes Conor McGregor down to the ground, tires him out. You see Conor breathing a little bit heavy after the first round, and he weathered the storm. The best of Conor McGregor that you're going to get is in the first round. If you're able to withstand the storm in the first round, you can make it to the later rounds with Conor McGregor. I loved what Dustin Poirier did. He mixed up the leg kicks, the leg strikes, and then he started boxing with Conor a little bit like that. But the wind was already taken out of Conor's sails after the first round. So I know your first instinct after watching Conor McGregor fight isn't to be go immediately to the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, but I challenge everyone, go back and watch that Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. Almost the exact same thing Khabib did to Conor in the first round, Dustin Poirier did, and I think that's a big reason why he's the victor tonight.
Here's the thing, and you are right, Malik, with saying that Khabib set out the blueprint, but I would say that actually I feel like Nate Diaz did that. And although Nate Diaz and Khabib are different because Nate Diaz is a jiu-jitsu player as well as a stand-up striker, a kickboxer, and Khabib, Dagestani wrestler. You don't go in. But I think the fact that Dustin Poirier, who, by the way, when he fought Khabib, he actually had Khabib in a headlock and a little bit of trouble. Not too much danger. But
I don't know if anybody really has Khabib in trouble.
Exactly. But I would say, though, for everyone, it was something.
Mike, to your point, right? You make a great point. You said Nate Diaz probably was the first one. But listen, maybe Nate Diaz did bring out the blueprint, right? How to beat Conor McGregor. But he did it in such a dirty way. Like, why take the damage that Nate Diaz took? Nobody in the UFC has the Diaz brothers' chins, right? So
Diaz loves it. He loves it.
Right. So Dustin Poirier is not going to be able to stand there and take the shots that Nate Diaz took, right? So why fight harder when you can fight smarter? And that's what I think he did. Tonight he fought a masterpiece fight. All the hype was surrounded around Conor McGregor coming into this fight. And I don't think people focused enough on how Dustin Poirier had evolved as a fighter since fighting Conor McGregor. Go ahead, Jake.
Right, and that's one of the things we talked about the last 2 weeks on the main show was how much he's improved since 6 or 7 years ago. The last time they fought, he outboxed Max Holloway, beat Justin Gaethje, and I think maybe playing devil's advocate to your point, I think he has one of the most underrated chins in all of UFC. Like he's very, very good at avoiding and not taking damage. I think he has one of the best chins probably in the entire division. It's a very underrated part of his game. But also to your point, a very textbook fight. He had the takedown, and Conor didn't do a horrible job defending like on the ground. It just he had him in it for so long. It was much of the first round. Conor probably still won the round, but just again a textbook fight from Dustin Poirier.
Right. So here's the thing, right? What's next for Conor McGregor? Right. I mean, and that's the real question, right? So I think Khabib is breathing a sigh of relief, right? Dana White, I'm sure, is punching air right now, but I know Khabib is breathing a sigh of relief. Why? Not because he was scared of the guy, because he had so much pressure of rematch this guy, right? Now we all know Conor. We saw a respectful Conor. Guys, I'll say it again. Tonight, we saw a respectful Conor. I anticipate that that's going to change in the coming days. I anticipate we're going to see a Conor McGregor when the loss actually sets in. He'll be heated. He'll be pissed. He'll be angry. And the same vicious words the way he sought out a rematch with Khabib Nurmagomedov, I'm sure that's what we're going to see with Dustin Poirier. So I think we're going to start seeing we're going to have to see a trilogy fight, right? Now, what do you see? What do you want to see first? Do you want to see a trilogy fight of Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor or Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier?
Well, I would say I'm a little biased because I have been on the Diaz trilogy fight for like 5 years, ever since they fought the second time. And people like you could argue like Diaz maybe won that fight. I don't think he did, but it's definitely tied one. It's definitely tied 1-1 right now. But Conor coming off of a knockout loss has lost 2 of his last 3. Only been in the octagon for 6.5 minutes the last 3 years, or the last 2.5 years. He's not upper echelon enough to fight like arguably the champion right now. So I would say fight Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz hasn't fought in a while. So I would say that is good for him. If he beats Nate Diaz, then you could argue he could contend again. But as of now, I think Dustin Poirier is the champion. Like, he is the best fighter in that division other than Khabib, who might not come back. So as of right now, Conor needs to work his way back up. And fighting Nate Diaz, if Diaz wants to come out and do it again, which I'm sure he does, from what he said the last 4 years, that should be Conor's next move.
Michael, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, this is outside of the box. Okay, so let me really flesh this out.
Sure.
I don't see Khabib coming back to fight Dustin.
Right.
I don't
think he will either.
Been there, done that. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Dustin eventually will fight for the title next. I think Conor will either fight Justin Gaethje or Charles Oliveira. I think those are 2 very attractive fights, particularly Justin Gaethje. He's coming off of a loss. I don't know if Dana White is willing to give him a title shot right now. And honestly, guys, those two were supposed to fight each other at UFC 251 back in July, but those plans went awry. I think this is a great time to make that fight happen, and it would be an absolute firefight as well.
So I want to answer this question. So Joe Camarada does great work. He's our editor here at TWSN. He asks, is Conor washed? Listen, I released a video here on TWSN, I want to say a year and a half ago. Maybe it was last year. I'm not exactly sure. You can go back on our timeline and watch it. Make sure while you're here, you're all subscribed to our YouTube channel. But I said Conor was his most dominant when he was a featherweight. Everyone said, what are you talking about? Conor was his most dominant when he was a featherweight. Why? Because his longest stints were at the featherweight division. Now, listen, what is the problem with Conor McGregor, right? I think a lot of people get caught up in the hype. I think a lot of people get caught up in the hoorah. But if we're actually talking about it, right? I did a deep dive. We had a debates on the TWSN show about this. But if you actually look into Conor McGregor's history, who has Conor McGregor actually stopped with one shot outside of Jose Aldo? I'm waiting.
It's been a flurry of punches.
You could say Cowboy Cerrone, but everyone knows Cowboy Cerrone has been on a decline for quite some time. His status in the UFC is even in question at this time, right? So my point that I'm making is the bigger these guys get, the harder it is for them to, the harder it is for Conor to put these guys out. It's a little bit different when you're hitting guys and they're falling like a ton of bricks. And no, I'm not saying Conor is not talented, but what I am saying is I think that the UFC is in an entirely different space than what it was in 2016. I think the fighters have evolved. And I think that Conor's 1 year layoff and the year-on-years layoffs that he had prior to that, before the Khabib fight, I don't think it served him anything. I think while the rest of the division was getting better, he was getting worse. And all the hype that we heard coming into this fight was, this is the best Conor you're going to see. We saw shaved head Conor, focused Conor, respectful Conor, and it looked great. It was cool. It sold, right? Surprising, it still sold. But the fact of the matter is, I've always questioned, does Conor McGregor have a chin? It was always been one of my biggest questions on him, because I wanted to see him in some of these dogfights. And I had this conversation today with a buddy of mine. I said, listen, $100 million changes people. You don't get the same hunger that you used to. I said, when they go to those deeper rounds and they start, when Conor has to dig down deep, right? Remember he was on a welfare checks. He was fighting from paycheck to pay. He was fighting to make a living. Listen, it's easy to get up in the morning at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., right? And train and work hard and fight for something that you don't have. But when you have the mink coat, right, and all the cars in your driveway, it's a little bit more challenging to get up out of the bed in the morning and fight for that same stuff. Now, on the outside, millions and millions of Conor McGregor fans will be like, oh, Conor looks like a beast because you see him posting pictures on Instagram. That's something that he's always done. But I've always said, when the going gets tough, are we going to see the Conor McGregor that we saw in the Nate Diaz fight? Are we going to? And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I just think that Conor McGregor is at a different space, a different point in his career right now. I'm never going to say he's washed, because I think Conor has a lot of talent. I think Conor could put anybody out with that left hand. But I think Conor, if Conor wants to fight for championships, he has to be prepared to be in some dogfights. To be quite honest with you, I think he has to be prepared to be in some dogfights. These guys aren't going out with one left hand anymore. But guys, what about Michael Chandler? We haven't even talked about Michael Chandler tonight.
You see that flag? You see that flag right there? That is my man. I have waited to see Michael Chandler in the UFC for so long. I saw him dominate Bellator for so long. I'm at his alma mater right now, and to see him knock out Dan Hooker in the first round was so awesome. Now, I do want to go to the point of Oliveira, because I think that's probably where Chandler goes next, because he knocked out Dan Hooker, and Oliveira's been around the block for a while. Like he is not new to this. I think he's 30-8, so he's fought 38 times. So he has been around the block for a while. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's ready for a title shot yet. I don't think Michael, like people are saying, oh, have Chandler and Poirier fight for the title now. No, I would say Chandler has to have one more fight. So I would think he goes to Oliveira next, and that winner will probably be the number one contender. And then you could have McGregor and Diaz, because that's the more marketable fight. I don't think McGregor and Oliveira is a very marketable fight, because if you're thinking in terms of, okay, Conor has max 2, maybe 3 more fight, maybe maybe 3 more fights left. I don't think you waste it on Charles Oliveira. I think the most marketable fight possible here is either Gaethje. He might go that direction. I don't know if he wants to take a Gaethje fight, or the Nate Diaz trilogy, because they kind of respect each other now, and that would be more marketable for me. So if I'm Dana White, I kind of lean that way. I have Chandler fight Oliveira for the number 1 contender spot to fight Poirier, who certainly deserves to be at the top of the rankings right now, and then have Conor fight Diaz for the trilogy.
What I am interested in seeing is, because apparently Dana White said Khabib is going to Las Vegas, and he's going to have a finalized meeting with Khabib to settle everything.
It's done. Khabib's not fighting anymore.
Exactly. I don't see him fighting. So I think once that dust is settled, everyone will be able to figure out what's going on. So for Michael Chandler, first off, I don't think too many people thought he would put it on Dan the Hangman Hooker. Okay, I don't want to take anything away from Dan Hooker. Look at his last fight against Dustin Poirier. That was an absolute war. So again, don't want to take anything away from Dan Hooker, but to have such a showing in your UFC debut like he did, I don't necessarily know if I want to give him the title shot right away, but he's on the fast track. He has certainly earned a way to at least be in the top 5 of the lightweight rankings. I don't see how you don't have him there, because he beat.
Yeah, I think Chandler should replace Ferguson on the top 5.
Well, Oliveira just beat Ferguson.
Yeah, but Ferguson is still 5.
Right.
Right.
5. So I
think Oliveira's 3.
Yeah, I think Chandler should replace Ferguson. But guys, going back to Conor, I don't want to make this strictly about Conor, but the show. But this is who the UFC 257 card was built around. And to be completely honest with you, it was kind of some of the fights on the card were underwhelming. Other than that, the co-main event and the main event. But I gotta ask, what if Conor switches weight classes? Right? Because I mean, at this point, like, listen, Conor's bigger than championships at this point, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So he's fighting for legacy at this point. He's fighting for legacy. He's fighting for his name, like he says, for his name to be remembered. I hope that this doesn't result in Conor saying I'm retired again, because Conor always does that after a loss or something like that. What if Conor switches weight classes? Maybe what if Conor gives us a fight, some of the fights the more marquee fights that we've been waiting to see, like the Nate Diaz, or fight Jorge Masvidal for the BMF belt, or fight Max Holloway. I'm just throwing ideas out there for you right now, because I don't think a UFC gold is in his future. I genuinely do not see UFC gold in his future.
Right. And he has no reason to retire. Well, he does. I mean, he's made so much money, but there are still books that have yet to be closed yet. Like, he can go fight Nate Diaz for the 3rd time, close that book. I think the book on him and Poirier is probably closed. But again, like you said, fight for the BMF belt. Poirier is better. Poirier is the better fighter. He is clearly number 1.
He is, but listen, if Conor calls Dana White up and says, "Hey, Dana White, I want Dustin Poirier again in a rematch for a trilogy fight," he's going to get it. He's going to get it.
For the title, because for the title.
No, I mean, none of them have the title right now.
But Poirier is going to get it. That's his belt.
It will be a vacant belt.
Well, he's going to be vacant, so he does have to win another fight. But Poirier's next fight is going to be for the title, and it will not be against Conor McGregor.
It honestly should be. But
it better be. I mean, he's number 1. He's number 1 right now.
We all know Conor is the needle mover in the UFC. He is. I don't see Conor. I don't see Conor being okay, being satisfied. I mean, and he's not going to obviously be satisfied, but I don't see Conor being resting on his laurels after losing to Dustin Poirier. They're absolutely going to have a trilogy fight. They're absolutely going to have a trilogy fight.
I mean, well, again, it depends. It depends how many more fights he has left. If Conor has 2 fights left,
Conor has 4 more fights left on his contract.
Okay, so there you go. So he has 4 more fights, but he might not want to fight all 4 times.
Sure.
So
I know he was talking about boxing Manny Pacquiao and
well, no, he might have to fight Jake Paul now, or if he wants to box again. But again, I think the book on him versus Diaz is still open. He could fight Gaethje, 2 of the best strikers in the history of the UFC. Fight Masvidal. There are a lot of options left, and as you said, he is bigger than championships at this point. So he doesn't have to fight for the title to be in a marketable fight. I think all 3 of those, Gaethje, Masvidal, and Diaz, would all be marketable non-championship fights.
From my perspective, guys, Conor is in weight purgatory. And what do I mean by that? I mean, he's too big to go down to 145. And honestly, I think he's too small to compete with the upper echelon in 170. You put him in there against Kamaru Usman, even Jorge Masvidal, good luck.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, 155 is the perfect weight for him. I don't know if a championship is in his future. What
if?
Okay.
What if Conor? I know it's a long shot, guys, and Jake is probably going to crucify me for saying this. What if Conor goes down? What if
145?
What if he fights at featherweight again? It was his most dominant. But if you're gonna, if let's be real, let's lay something on the table. If we're ever gonna see dominant Conor McGregor, like I'm talking about, where he's fighting at a championship level and fighting for UFC gold again, where he's knocking guys out again like this, like I mean, not guys that are halfway out the UFC, like Donald Cerrone. No offense, that might be his best shot. If we're being real, that might be his best shot.
I don't think he can make the weight, though. I'll be quite honest. He's too beefy. It's a big drain. It's a big drain.
To fight who? Max? Like Max?
Let's be honest. If Conor goes down to featherweight right now, he beats Volk. He beats Max. That's a fact.
Yeah.
He beats those guys.
That's a little disrespectful to Volk. Like, let's see how Volk does in his fight next month.
I'm not being disrespectful to Volk, but what I will say is Volk lost his last fight to Max Holloway. He just was crowned the winner. Everyone in the UFC and their mother said that Volk lost to Max Holloway.
I disagree. I think they're right.
I think Volk won that fight. He got dropped twice. How?
All the statistics say that he won that fight.
What statistics?
He landed more strikes.
No, Max won the fight, but the reason why in that fight, guys, Volk the reason why the judges swayed it towards him is because he put on the pace towards the end, and judges love that. So that's why. But getting back to the Conor part, to me, one fight that could be a possibility, especially with Max. Actually, no. Let me renege, because Max needs to fight for the featherweight title. For Conor, he has to stay at 155.
I agree.
I mean, listen, I respect it. Listen, I just think that the him staying at 155, I don't think a championship is in his future. And at that point, you're fighting dream fights at that point. I don't think that there's anything realistically that will get. What's that, Jake? You seem like you got
no, but like that's the reason to stick around, right? Because again, you said he's bigger than championships. He's already been crowned title or champion in 2 divisions. Why does he need to go back for a title, especially after losing this fight, especially after losing the belt or after losing the fight to Khabib? Go for these dream fights, because Conor looked like he was having fun this week. He brought his kid. He brought his wife. This looked like a different Conor, and it wasn't for a belt. He looked like he was excited to be there. Like, obviously there's a huge mutual respect between Poirier and Conor McGregor. So go fight Nate Diaz. Go fight Justin Gaethje. Have that mutual respect. Bring your kid. Bring your wife. Your kid's not going to be able to watch him fight for much longer. So
I want to bring something up really quickly before we get out of here. I was talking to a buddy of mine before the fights today. And I said, I just feel like we're going to see something special tonight. I feel like we're going to see something that we've never seen before. And we did. We saw Conor McGregor get knocked out. I mean, in all the wars that we've seen this guy in, right? Dustin Poirier, man. Let's just talk about Dustin for a second. Wow. Like the guy lost to Conor McGregor. He lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov. At one point, I know Dustin Poirier was considering his future, and for him to beg for this fight and beg for this fight and beg for this fight again over and over, saying he wanted to fight Conor McGregor, and albeit he beat Dan Hooker his last fight, but he did look a little sloppy to me at some points, and I was really nervous for him coming into this fight. And then as the fight was going on, I was like, before the fight started, but as the night was getting older and older and older, I was like, you know what? I think I want to put money down on Dustin Poirier. I don't know. I said I got a strange feeling, and then I'm one of those weird superstitious guys, right, guys? So like Conor McGregor, if you looked at the UFC time thing, Conor McGregor came to the arena a whole hour later than Dustin Poirier, and I was like, oh no, something seems a little bit off, man. I don't know what it is, but I put that money down on Dustin Poirier, and lo and behold, it won me $160, so that was good. But hats off to Dustin Poirier, man. You talk about rectifying your mistakes. To Jake's point, Dustin Poirier is the better fighter out of the two. But I got to ask you guys this last question before we get out of here, and I want both of your takes on this. Is this like, do you think that there's another level to Conor McGregor, or do you think he's plateaued, so to speak? Do you think this is the best we were gonna get of him? Do you think this was it?
Michael, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I would say that peak Conor McGregor took place UFC 205 against Eddie Alvarez. To me, it doesn't get any better than that. You're double champ of the world. It's hard to get better than that.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this, guys. I thought Dustin Poirier was going to win this fight because there was so much hype around Conor McGregor. People forgot about Dustin Poirier's gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
And Conor McGregor has a great gas tank as well. I think a lot of people criticize him for his stamina. Conor McGregor has great stamina.
No. Let me say this. Conor McGregor doesn't have great stamina. Like this is what it is. He might have great stamina, right? But here's the thing. Conor McGregor, when he throws his punches, he throws it with so much impact, so much power. So he exerts so much energy with his feints. And when a regular guy throws a jab, that's not the same as Conor McGregor throwing a jab. He puts everything into it. He really does. So that takes a lot out of him, which is why he gasses so easy. He might have a great gas tank, but maybe he doesn't know how to manage his energy best. But that's what makes Conor McGregor so great. It's the same thing that made Mike Tyson so great. These guys are dangerous when they come out.
Well, it's because of the storm. I think there's a difference. But Conor McGregor, he's an elite athlete, so that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
But when it comes to plateau and what is the future for Conor McGregor, he's never going to secure 2 titles again consecutively. That's not going to happen. But I still think there are huge money fights. Diaz, to me, I really don't care about the Diaz fight. I'm sure if it happens, I'll watch it. But at the end of the day, I still think he can be competitive in the lightweight division. Do I think he's going to get another title opportunity? No, but I do think there are big fights awaiting for Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I don't think Conor has evolved that much since he left the UFC, as a full-time fighter. And I commend the guy getting back in there, really trying to, prove that he can be the old McGregor again. But it's clearly shown that Conor McGregor, maybe we've seen the best of Conor McGregor. I want to get some of these comments down here for McGregor to be effective. It's almost evolved. UFC has evolved. Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. I don't think Conor has evolved much. But like I said, hats off to Dustin Poirier again. I can't say enough great things. He shocked a lot of people, but I want to shout out my man Michael. Everybody in the company, right? I have this up. Everybody in the company picked Conor McGregor. Now I had a change of heart. That was a personal thing. Before the card took place. But shout out to Michael. He's the only person in the company that chose Dustin Poirier to beat Conor McGregor tonight. So hats off to you, Mike. Hats off to you. I know you were like the lone wolf, the lone guy standing. But guys, listen, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the TWSN UFC 257 recap. We'll be doing a lot more of these as the year progresses, as we start to ramp up our UFC content. Jake is now credentialed with the UFC as well, so we'll be attending some events, probably not in Abu Dhabi, but maybe in Vegas or some other places. Other than that, Mike does some great work here at TWSN as well. Check out some of his pieces. I think he already has a UFC recap coming out soon.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're really, really excited. Make sure you guys download the TWSN mobile app, follow us on all our social media platforms, TWSN, and catch the Right Way show this upcoming Tuesday, where Jake and I are always on. And you can hear our takes, especially
a Bucks. Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Jake has the Bucks winning tomorrow, and I have the Packers winning tomorrow. We'll see who comes out on top with that one. But guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed UFC 257, and we will see you next time on the Right Way YouTube channel. Have a good night, everybody.